that loop in our strap, and then I kind of make the tail about the same end. So I've got like this length of yoga strap. And then I'm going to hold the one end, bring that arm up and across, and hook underneath. So this hand is up here holding that strap. This hand grabs underneath, and I'm just pulling sort of straight forward and down with this lower hand. My top arm is staying here, okay? And then I'm going to bring which is my top arm, also to be my top leg. So I'm going to cross leg over the other leg. You could just come into chair pose with the arms, okay? But I'm going to come into eagle legs. Just think of wrapping the femurs and the shins off one another. And then reset. I'm going to take it, my other arm, it comes in, I hook underneath, grab that strap, pulling down. Again, what is my top arm will become my top leg. Play with the twist of this bottom hand and where that pull happens. Again, that'll change the rotations that are set through the arms and into the shoulder girdle. That might have you feel more anchored in this balancing pose. One type of rotation setup is going to maybe have it feel more anchored and secure than another one. Okay, so staying with our loop. I'm going to get my slightly longer strap and loop for this. And we're going to set that strap on the ground. I'm going to come in front of it and bring the balls of my feet onto that strap. Okay, from here, I'm going to bring it between my legs so the strap ends up kind of wrapping around the outside of the foot and then the shin, okay? And then I'm just pulling on the strap like horse reins. I'm going to bicep curl the arms and sit down into my chair. Now, instead of bicep curling, I'm going to be in my chair and press back into the strap. So now the strap hits me across the top of the lap, and I get some tricep back of the shoulder stuff as I'm in that chair. Maybe play with holding up more, coming out. And just notice what you notice with this strap wrap. And how you coordinate the upper body and lower body. Maybe I find prayer, the strap wraps up, I press down, and then with the strap hooked around my thumbs, I'm going to try to press up with my arms as I stand firm on the balls of my feet. Heels are touched down in that chair. Just how that lights things up. The eye. Good. Then I'm going to come out. I'm going to stay with this loop theme. Stepping in front. This time, I'm going to place my heels on the strap. Okay, again, I'm gonna come. So this time it kind of wraps around the heels, okay? Again, find a bit of a bicep curl to bring you into that chair. Maybe you shorten your loop a little bit. You find prayer and try to stand up and then sink down. Try to stand up and then sink down. Try to stand up and sink down. Maybe I take those hands and press back, sink down, and stand up. I'm just feeling the different parts of the legs that get lit up with pressing in with a different part of the foot with that loop and that strap wrapped. Okay. So from there, we're going to keep this long loop and come back to the ball of the feet. Now I could have a yoga mat down. I just didn't unroll mine today. But if you find, it is like slippery under the floor, you can totally do that. So you're gonna have to play with how long or how short this loop is that you create, okay? Microphone here. Oh, I'm pulling my hair. It's fully in there. Okay. So I'm gonna come to stand on that leg. I've got it on the ball of the foot. I'm gonna use my arms out into that strap and find my way into warrior 3. Okay, I'm going to touch the foot down. I'm going to find my way into warrior 3 again, changing the inputs between the upper and lower body. I'm going to try putting a twist into the strap. Again, finding the contact with the strap that helps set up the rotations, that has me feel really stable in that standing leg, and maybe move into half moon from that warrior 3, or maybe moving into a high lunge of some sort. Okay, one more time here. So I've got ball of the foot and then a twist into the strap. Okay, into an iteration of warrior 1, and I step the legs back together. I'm gonna come to the ball of the foot on the other side. And again, just a few times without the twist, just playing with kind of feeling what do the arms want to do to secure me into that warrior 3 shape. Foot taps down. Again, what do the arms want to do? Whoa. You can feel how each foot behaves differently. Okay, I'm gonna flip back to the other side, but I'm gonna come in front of that strap. So I've got it hooked on the heel, and then I'm bringing the strap around this way. Again, I'm gonna use the hands on the strap and just play what those hands want to do on that strap to bring me into and out of warrior three. Yeah. Okay, and then coming off that side, I'm gonna come on to the other leg. But we can start to feel how the strap inputs a pitch on roll into things, whether that's via the lower body here or whether that's via the upper body. Okay, so I went outside inside, I think, on that other leg. So I'm going to go inside outside on this leg, and I might switch them both. We'll see here. So again, just kind of feel for what helps set up a slightly smaller loop. Huh, that was kind of fun how that just wanted to happen. So you can start to feel how, depending what rotation gets suggested or which rotation gets stopped by the strap, it sets up kind of a different sequence. What you're wanting to find is the sequence that is easy, that you're like, oh, and I flow from here, and I can flow to here, and I can flow to here. Not a sequence that you're trying to force or mimic. So depending how you set yours up, the length of your strap, how you're pushing or pulling on things, you know, your warrior three is going to look different, but also what you get nudged internally as you're observing yourself move through it to go where to go to next will be different than where I get nudged to go to next. And really, that is at the heart of what I want you to get, so that you aren't going and just blindly trying to mimic somebody else's shape, that you start to sense and feel the instructions for your body and what those instructions impart. Okay? All right. So let's keep going here. So we're going to keep this big loop. I'm going to make my back bigger again here and just work through a couple more things standing, and then we're going to come down to the floor. Okay. So I'm going to find the ball of my front foot, and I'm going to keep the strap up near me. I think I want to go this way. And then I'm going to place the heel of my bottom leg on it. And I'm going to come to so on my front leg, it ends up being kind of the ball, the pinky side, and the heel of that foot. And then my bottom leg, it ends up being more kind of just in front of the heel and across the outer edge. Okay, so I'm working into the strap with both legs, finding my warrior two. I can let my shoulders down. And just kind of be here. Okay, you're going to come down, take that strap, and just bring it to the front of the ankle. So rather than it being on the foot, it's across the front of the ankle. And again, just work into your warrior two here. Okay, now we're going to move this front strap up. So it's kind of more on that tibial plateau. So now I can work that knee bend into it and ground through the outside of the back foot. And again, find my warrior two, feel what that sets up in the hips and the pelvis. And then again, where the work in the legs lets it be effortless for those shoulders. Okay, now let's take the focus to that back leg and bring the strap on the heel. So I step on it with the heel. It comes around the outside of that heel, and then you're probably going to have to lengthen that. Well, let's shorten it here. Maybe we come in on the thigh of that front leg to start, kind of catching the pelvis, the bottom of that ilium. Again, working into that warrior two. Maybe if you tend to keep your posture quite short, the strap gives you kind of somewhere to work into to spread out the pose from what you typically do. But again, you start to feel how the feet, the legs work together. Okay. I'm going to keep that on my heel, but I'm going to bring this down to the tibial plateau. Feels a little bit short. There we go. That has my external rotators like work more, I think, than they need to be. Okay. Move buckle. And bring this onto front heel. There we go. Yeah. We move to extended side angle or find a triangle. Whew. Okay. And then let's work through some of that on the other side with the other leg in back. So I'm going to start at the front of the ankle on my front leg, and then finding kind of a fifth in that back leg and positioning this so it's easy for me to adjust the length of that strap. I can work those, put my shoulders down. Ooh, this feels really good on this side. Okay, then let's bring that strap up to kind of mid shin. Yeah, the hip ends up working, like the external rotators really like kick on when I'm like mid shin here. I will reserve judgment of whether that's a good thing or not. I like kind of Goldilocks, like just enough effort. This feels like it's a bit over efforting. I bring it up to the very top of that tibial plateau. I focus on the back leg taking up the slack to just meet the front shin. That changes this front hip. It doesn't have that overworking, so then it feels like I can, go someplace versus being stuck there. I'm going to bring this onto my heel. So rather than that front pinky, and then again, work kind of top of that pelvis. Each one just gives you a slightly different place to kind of organize from. Yeah, this like really kicks on the Badinsky. I wonder if I take this down the bottom of the shin. Better. Okay, but you might be different. So, and some of you, like I've got the tail, so it's pulling this way. It will change my experience if I have the strap going the other way. It's wild, but give it a try. So if I set this up the same, but then come in here and the strap tail goes the other way, it's wild, but this sets up different rotations. It's different. Give it a try. You know, Princess in the P yoga. We've got the one strap, using it in a loop, playing with the ways that it sets up the pose. Okay, let's come down to the ground. We're going to keep that in our loop formation here. And I'm going to have the tail of my yoga strap is going in the direction of my feet. You might want it, now that I've come up this side, now I'm pulling it towards my pelvis. Okay, so wherever you get it situated, based on where it is relative to your feet, that's going to impact things. So I'm going to make this loop bigger so that I can get in the middle of it. So bend my legs, hop in the middle of it. So I'm going to get the strap around the back of the pelvis. I've got it on heels, and then the top of the ilium, top of the sacrum. And then I'm going to start to pull the strap so that my legs come together in Dandasana. And the strap has this feel really good for me. Like my legs feel really grounded and anchored. And so then my spine just gets to be up. So if you're someone that often is kind of fighting your hip flexors in this pose, this is a lovely way to set it up. Okay. So let's make one change here. That is fold the legs, find the balls of the feet. Gonna have this little tug of war while you find the metatarsals. And you'll have more pressure likely in the fifth than you will in the first. Let's loosen this off a little bit so the legs can widen. Gonna find that, and then you can put it in just to the point where you don't get rolled off of. Yeah, so for me the heels kind of locks me in differently. When I go to the ball of the feet, it feels like the bottom of the pose, or like the underside of me, kind of falls out of it, which is super interesting. But maybe I'm going to leave this on the balls of the feet. I'm going to make my loop a little bigger, and I'm going to bring this up to my back ribs. Now I'm going to tighten, reach out, and work this pose here. And now I've got some lift and shape in it. doesn't feel like the bottom's fallen out of the pose the same way it did when this was around the pelvis and the balls of the feet. Okay? I can take some breaths here.